Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Professionals Pulse. I am Farida Musaddi, the co founder and CEO of Al Fateh Technologies Dubai. Al Fateh is a forward thinking organization dedicated to harnessing the power of cutting edge technology trends to streamline and optimize the technological needs of businesses. Committed to innovation, we firmly believe in leveraging the latest advancements to create tailored solutions that align seamlessly with the unique requirements of every organization. Our ethos revolve around integrating the most current technological tools and methodologies, ensuring that our clients stay at the forefront of technological evolution. And one such groundbreaking discussion that's shaping the future of technology and redefining our digital landscape today is Web 3.0. So, what is Web 3.0? Well, in this episode, we decode this new decentralized ecosystem poised to revolutionize industries and redefine how we interact with information, data, and also with each other. Join us as we explore the intricacies of Web 3.0, its core principles of decentralization, blockchain integration, AI advancements, and the profound implications this paradigm shift has for businesses, innovation, and the way we experience the online world. Get ready to unlock insights that will redefine your understanding of the internet as we navigate this fascinating realm of Web 3.0 with Mr. Tarun Jain. Mr.
Hi, Farid.
Tarun, hi Tarun. So, Tarun is an experienced data analytics consultant with over 12 years in the web analytics field. He is actively engaged in digital transformation initiatives and the implementation of analytics strategies. He is a certified multi solution architect specializing in CDP and DMPs such as Telium Audience Stream and Adobe Audience Manager. He is engaged in Web 3.0 digital transformation and adept in blockchain technologies. Tarun is also proficient in website monitoring and enhancement tools like Adobe Analytics, Google Analytics, and Web Trends. He also collaborates closely with business stakeholders to champion the complete analytics lifecycle. He believes in the fail fast, learn faster methodology. So, Tarun, first of all, welcome to the Professionals Pulse. It's great to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Farida. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
So, getting started, first of all, we want to know what exactly is this Web 3.0 and how does it differ from the previous iterations of the internet?
Okay, so I think I'll start quickly from the history, how internet started and all. Okay, so if you remember, like I'm a '90s kid, so like around 1994, or I would say early 1990s, the Web 1.0 version was launched. So the internet was actually launched, which provided at that particular point the only read-only kind of a interface. Okay, so what do you mean by that? You cannot do anything. You can just consume whatever information is available across the web, and then you can make your like hypothesis basis on that particular content. Okay, then came in Web 2.0, which is the current era we are living in. Okay, uh, so it all started somewhere between 2000, early 2000, and then it actually provided multiple options for the users, like end users like me and you, correct? So it provided the opportunities to interact on the internet. Now let's take a very basic example of YouTube. Okay, so you can sign up, you can register, you can subscribe to a channel, correct? So those kinds of interactions the end user can also do now, and it has been made possible by use of, let's say, different technologies available, Node.js, JavaScript, right? And the other flavor which actually poured in was the single page applications. So what a single page applications provide are basically the URL is loaded, like the entire web page is loaded at once, and basis on certain interactions happening on the website, the components change. So that is the single page architecture we are in. So that is all about Web 2.0. In this particular phase, like you know that if you search anything on Google, okay,
Correct.
then a lot of retargeting activity starts, even if you have not subscribed to a particular brand, right? So that is something which is happening currently across the digital landscape. Now, coming to the main part of today's discussion, which is Web 3.0, it is, I would say, it is still in a very visionary kind of a format. It is upcoming, and it is one of the latest technology we will be facing in a very short run, I would say. So, Web 3.0 is the next version of internet, the www dot, like what we say, and it encompasses three important aspects. I usually say like it's kind of DOB. Okay, one, it is decentralized. Okay, second,
Correct.
you have the entire technology base as an open source kind of a base, so anyone can go and share their inputs, and then the technology can advance. Third, very important thing is basically the blockchain technology, which we will discuss. I'll quickly cover, but in a blockchain technology, it's mostly around that a simple ledger is created across the digital network, and then in form of the simple blocks and a chain format, that particular sequence carries. So we have certain live examples in today's world also around blockchain technologies. So this is all about, I would say, to start with, this is Web 3.0, which is upcoming. It has been grown to a very large extent, if I talk currently also, but there are a lot of areas which would be highly impacted when we talk about Web 3.0.
Okay, that's great. So it's still in inception, as you say.
Yes, yes. So it's still in inception. Some of the areas are obviously in pilot modes. I can say, okay, some of the areas are also there, like NFTs are live, right, which are based on blockchain technologies. You have trading happening on cryptocurrencies, correct? So that is
Yes.
also live. But when I say it's in inception, I meant to say it's for the larger group, right? Only not for the for a part of the audience which they are intended to deal with. It has to be expanded across the globe, and it has to be expanded, let's say, in the areas where currently the internet is also not there. So we have to obviously educate, and there are obviously some mechanisms which we have to deal with when we are talking about Web 3.0.
All right. So you also mentioned the word decentralized. Okay. First of all, what exactly would you say is decentralized, or in what way is it decentralized, and how does this decentralized structure impact the user privacy, security, and the control over their personal data?
Okay, so see, decentralization according to me is nothing but uh, segregating all the responsibilities, let's say, in the current ecosystem, right? Most, like more than 90% of the users are using Google as the default search engine. So the
Correct.
authority lies with Google at this point,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Similarly, for the social media platform, Facebook, which is now Meta, right? So that holds a lot of user base, like literally the first party user base with them, and that is how the entire ad tech and martech ecosystem is currently created. So decentralizing means sharing the authorities and the respective details across the users. So I, as Arun, should be able to like
Excuse me.
evaluate where my data is currently stored, how it is shared, right? So that I am the owner of that data. Decentralizing Decentralization by concept focuses on democratization of data. Okay, so
Okay.
the democratization basically refers to everyone should be able to access their data at any given point in time, so that
Okay.
they are the deciding factor. That okay, if I know this particular site I am very trustful of, right, so I can easily pass on my details to them, correct? If I
Okay.
know I'm a bit skeptical performing any e-commerce transactions for that matter, right? So I will be a bit hesitant and reluctant to share my data, correct? So
That's right.
that is all about the decentralization concept. As a concept solves, so it spreads the entire technology with the users, with the end users of that group. Okay, then
Okay.
to answer the second part of your question, okay, how it will have a, let's say, impact on the privacy or the data security, correct? So
Yeah.
privacy in this particular world will be enhanced to a large extent. Why do I say that? Because the reliance on the centralized ecosystem or the centralized databases, right, will be removed, and you will have different buckets or different servers, I would say, to store large amounts of data, and the redundancy factor in case of failures and all. So that will be largely decreased. So you will have a much more privacy centric kind of a ecosystem when we talk about Web 3.0. Second point is around, let's say, the security, correct? So there will be obviously the next level of security, because that is the core fundamental of Web 3.0, or let's say the blockchain technology, right? So
Correct.
it's more about the security risk if the centralized system fails, correct? And or let's say, usually what we have seen is the larger the system is, the larger it is prone to attacks, cyber attacks and all, right?
Okay.
So you have to make sure then that when this and you're building any technology, correct, on basis on blockchain as your base, it has improved security. That is one of the core pillar when we talk about 3.0. Third is user control, right? As you asked. So as I said in my when I started this particular question, so as I said, it will be kind of a autonomous user control, that you as the end user will have complete authority over the data which is being shared across the platforms, or across the websites. So these are some of the, let's say, positive sides when we talk about decentralizing all the systems. There are obviously everything has its pros and cons, correct? So if I talk about some immediate challenges, correct? Because currently we are living in a centralized kind of a world or centralized ecosystem. For example, the Reserve Bank or the World Bank, correct? They are governing authorities of a particular space, right? So when it is decentralized, the authority from their side will be taken and spread across the individuals. So that is one important challenge which we have to take care of,
It's a
right?
very big risk factor, I would say.
Yes, yes. So there are risks also, but
Correct.
with proper due diligence and the proper education tactics, correct?
Mhm.
Web 3.0 can be evolved to a certain extent. We have seen literally a lot of hype in the crypto market over the past few years, right? Or I would say it's almost been a decade now, right? They have
Yeah.
been live. So we have seen a lot of buzz around those things, and how the governments are opposing, some governments are in favor. So those kinds of discussions has to be dealt first at a geographic level, and then on a global level as well. So proper education, proper tactics, how you deal with those risks, and proper mitigation techniques could be some of the potential solutions.
But again, I feel that it's more of a challenge to go
Yes,
about this way,
absolutely.
because to educate and to make sure, uh, because of this decentralized, I think every individual will get the power and the control over their data.
Yes,
So more than a transforming technology, I think there will be a great responsibility
possibility.
on the stakeholders to make sure that it doesn't cause a lot of disruption in what is ongoing currently.
Absolutely. I completely agree and buy this point, Farida, because it's more towards with great responsibility. You
Great
have
power
to,
brings
yeah,
great
with
responsibility.
great power you have to take up a lot of responsibilities. So that is the saying. So it obviously is a very powerful technology in itself. It is very promising in the new
Okay.
digital landscape we are living in. But with that, a lot of responsibility needs to be taken on an individual as well as an enterprise who is building this technology. Plus, the ownership also needs to be very transparently communicated to the end user that okay, for these particular aspects you will be the deciding factor as an individual, but for some of the aspects I as an enterprise has to take care, because this is just not for you, it is for the larger ecosystem, so those things has to be taken care.
Absolutely. And when we were discussing Web 3.0, you also mentioned about blockchain.
Yeah.
So, how integral is blockchain to this concept, and what are the most promising use cases for blockchain within this kind of a framework?
Okay. See, blockchain, as the term suggests, correct? It is a chain of different blocks. Every block is kind of a digital ledger in terms of the digital system. If I say it's kind of a digital ledger or digital contract that holds certain credentials, right? Certain key information about an individual user and the respective transactions and all such things. Okay,
Correct.
when it comprises of a specific into a form of chain, then the term is called as a blockchain in very
Blockchain.
simple and layman language. Okay, now these systems are very much like based on the concept of decentralization. Okay,
Mhm.
and they are well interconnected as well. So you have to take care of certain unique hashed keys when you are dealing with blockchain technology. If the end user forgets that particular key of his, then there is a risk, because retrieving the information in a complex network of blocks, right, it will be very difficult for the enterprise as well, right? So if let's say if I have to summarize some of the use cases for blockchain, and let's say which encompasses web 3.0 only, right? So one important thing which I believe you might have heard also is around DeFi, so decentralized finance, correct, and decentralized apps basically, correct. So in the finance sector, we have seen like live examples of crypto and the NFT, non-fungible tokens, right, which is already live, because of which the financial services, right, without the help or without going to any intermediaries like banks and all, in the current case, correct, they can perform banking, they can perform lending exercises, and it can also reach to the under supervised kind of the world, so where even the banking cannot reach, right? So if we have proper at least the basic level of internet facilities available, so that can play a very crucial part when I talk about the major use cases in the finance sector, like the BFSI, what you say. Okay, then the other one could be in the SCM, basically the supply chain management and the logistics sector. Okay, why do I pick this particular use case? It's a very important thing to discuss upon. Currently, there are obviously transparency gaps. There are logistic gaps when we talk about when any product is in the production versus till it reaches till the consumption or the end consumer state. Correct. So there are a lot of loopholes in every country. I'm not talking about any specific geo. In every country or in any process, there will be a lot of loopholes. Correct. With this
Absolutely.
blockchain in place, it will be kind of a very transparent ecosystem along with a traceable ecosystem. So if something gets missed or if something is vacant at a particular point, it can be well traced at a very quicker time, so that efficiency is gained, right? As well as, because it is transparent and traceable, the actual loss in the efficiency, right, will be minimized. So it will I would say, because I have read a lot of practical examples which are currently live in small buckets, but
Correct.
definitely it will have a very huge impact on the supply chain management and logistics sector. Okay, the other one I would say is around let's say the identity management. Okay, what do I mean by identity management? It's basically, it for the end user, it provides a very secure ecosystem, because once it is stored in that particular block, it is stored. Only
Correct.
you can retrieve it with the help of those hashed and the encrypted keys and tokens. Okay, so as an end user, if I have to use any blockchain technology, right, I will feel very safe. So it's kind of a trustless kind of a ecosystem what they are building, correct?
Okay.
And It's very important because we are living in a very digital kind of a era where everything is virtual. We now at the moment are talking virtually, right? So we have to make sure, okay, whatever things I'm doing on the internet, whatever digital footprints I'm leaving, correct, it
Mhm.
is well secured, well masked, and it is not used for unethical activities, right? So it
Okay.
will impact on your identity management a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so I would say these are the top three I can currently think of. There are numerous examples of the blockchain technology in the gaming world, in the healthcare sector as well. Like healthcare, I would say it's very much like the database management of the healthcare, right? So the
Mhm.
patient, it's very sensitive data, correct?
Correct.
And
Patient
many
history.
times we have seen leaks happening, data breaches happening. With this technology properly implemented in
Mhm.
alliance with the current centralized systems, right, it can play a very pivotal part in the healthcare sector
Correct.
as well. So
Correct.
for your personalized and it has been running like some of the I was doing some research some time back, and I got to know like a lot of research in this sector, in the healthcare sector, is happening in the US,
Okay.
around the blockchain technology for the personalized treatment. So currently we know, okay, if I am having a headache, I'll take a paracetamol or something like that. Okay, but
Mhm.
is it personalized to my body and needs? I don't know, correct, because it
Correct.
is tested on a larger group and then the doctor subscribes. But with this particular technology evolving in the healthcare sector, it will help for those personalized level of treatments as well. So very
Oh,
powerful technology with a
a
lot of
paradigm
lot of
shift.
yes, it's a paradigm shift.
Okay. And as you're explaining, of course, there are so many examples, as you were mentioning, even in the gaming world, and a lot of places where sensitive information is stored. I think this could be something which would be very, very useful in the
Yes.
future.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because by the virtue and nature of it, right, it is treated as a very secure kind of an environment
Correct.
where the prone to hacking are there. I'm not denying that the prone to hacking or
That'll
the
be there.
data
Yeah.
breach is always
Yes.
there, right? But it is very limited because it is the next level of the
Yeah.
technological advancements we are dealing with.
It can be minimized.
Yes, it can be minimized.
Okay. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
And as you were just talking about it, so my next question was actually aiming at that how will Web 3.0 revolutionize the different industries? You spoke about finance, healthcare, something even like entertainment, and
yeah.
what challenges that you also feel might come during this transformation?
See, um, we talked about like the finance sector, healthcare sector, right? So in the
Correct.
finance, we know that without the intervention of the intermediaries, the transactions can happen, and we have seen this. Like in
Mhm.
the healthcare sector, it is more about the management of the data plus living this decentralized system in alliance with the centralized governing authority of the medical systems. The there are obviously when any new innovation happens, the first thing which happens is alongside that innovation is the number of challenges it has to face, right? So that
Correct.
is literally inevitable. You cannot escape those challenges. So let's talk about the finance, right, first. So in the finance sector, obviously it's a regulated industry, right? There
Mhm.
are transactional details which are very much crucial for any individual and for the centralized authorities. So the
Correct.
first challenge I would say would be the regulatory compliance. Okay,
Mhm.
you as a blockchain technology expert, or let's say a product which you have built on this technology, first you have to convince the regulators that okay, this is complying to all the legal norms which you are saying. Because we have seen like crypto is banned in some of the countries, cryptos are very much favored in some of the countries. Like I'm living in Dubai here, literally the real estate transactions are happening for cryptos, right? Against the cryptos you can
Correct.
purchase a physical land, so that is happening live. So it's more about the regulatory changes and the regulatory compliance around the challenges. The other important thing is the scalability issues. Okay,
Mhm.
how scalable will your blockchain or this particular technology would be depends on a lot of factor. Why? Because we will be dealing with literally tons and tons of data when we talk about these sectors: finance, especially finance, healthcare, you have gaming like NFTs and all. So it's all real time, very much real time, correct? So you have
Absolutely.
to make scalable solutions. That is one. The other thing I would say is around the proper education piece. Okay, this is one opportunity area as well, plus it acts as a challenge too, so it serves both the things. So unless and until you educate the regulators, who, let's say, if I am going to convince into a finance department, first I have to be a subject matter expert that what I am trying to convince. Second,
Correct.
I should know that what are currently their pain areas and how can my technology solve that particular pain
Solve
area.
them.
So
Yes.
that is kind of a handshake which has to happen between the
Absolutely.
regulators and the technology innovators.
Okay.
And if you see, let's say especially around, let's say, the healthcare sector, right? It's very
Hmm.
sensitive health data we are dealing with. So again, it would be kind of a, it cannot be happen across just one hospital, correct? It has to happen across their whole ecosystem. So first we have to initiate with a small kind of piece, and then pilot those things. Once this is successful, we have to have that scalable solution to upgrade to the next level. So that is something which
It
we
will be a
obviously we
complete
will.
transformation.
Yes, yes.
Correct. Correct.
The there is one more thing which I would like to call out, and this is especially around, um, let's say, in the entertainment industry. Okay,
Hmm.
so in the entertainment we have seen, like, and especially around the content creation and all, right? There are copyright issues happening and all. So this is another challenge, that okay, because we don't have the regulators in place, right, for those
Hmm.
content creation and all, so anyone can publish anything, correct?
Correct.
Because of which a lot of copyright issues might happen. So that is another area where the technology provider or the innovator has to think that how do I deal with this particular challenge.
Okay. And we also have someone who's asking us that how does how blockchain help in the field of accounting?
Okay, see, accounting, as I earlier connected, basically it's more about the financial sector. Okay,
Correct.
so when you are dealing in the financial sector, it's more about how you structure your data, okay, in
Hmm.
accounting, and basically how you are transforming that data also. Okay, so let's say you are receiving some level of inputs, correct? So as the data source, you are receiving certain inputs. The main aspect is that data structured in your area of world, or in the finance sector, is that currently structured? What is the, so there are different kinds of data sets we deal with, right? One is unstructured, second is semi structured, third is structured, which is in row and columns kind of a
Follow
format.
format.
So you have to first evaluate what is your current structure and the state of data, how well I can transform it to the next layer, and then innovate basis that. So once you have transformed, you have agreed with the partners and all that, okay, this is the transformation process we will be looking at, then only you can scale it up in the accounting sector. Because uh, again, very much similar to a centralized system and the governing within a specific company also. Let's talk a very small example. So within a specific company also, you have a proper governing authority, that okay, the accounting team, or let's say the finance team, should be looking at these things. But are these data points sufficient? Are these data points in the proper shape and form? That is one question which you have to ask internally, and then only the next level of deep dive can happen.
Okay. So, from what I hear, across each and every industry, I think this will have a huge revolution once it'll be completely implemented.
Absolutely. So completely, it's not about completely implemented. I would still say it has to be properly implemented. If
Yes.
you, I have a very strong saying, and this is kind of coming from the digital transformation background. Um, if you if you ingest in garbage, the output will always be garbage. It cannot be what you are expecting. So
Correct.
it has to, if you are doing something, do it properly, otherwise do not initiate.
Don't do it.
So better quality. I would say the takeaways from this particular question would be better quality. You have to get in your transformation process when you're talking about the blockchain technology. Second, scalable solutions, right, which can give you an upper edge when you talk about the mass. Third,
Correct.
it should be accessible to anyone at any given point. So that accessibility, like the democratization, or let's say what we call the underlying factor of decentralization. So these are the core aspects of this particular technology which we have to live with. So those are, I would say, the quick takeaways from this particular set.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Uh, in what ways do you think that the user experience, because when we are talking about a new revolution in the web, right now, all of us are using Web 2.0 and we are all living in this era. So, what changes would be there in terms of an end user experience with the advent of Web 3.0, and will it be more user centric? Of course, we've talked about the decentralization of data and the end user getting a little bit more hold over their personal data and how it is stored. But what can you share about the experience that an end user will have with this new cutting edge technology?
Sure. See, in terms of the user experience, right, I would say it will all be user centric to cut it short. Okay. To elaborate it further, first is, as I like covered this in my previous answers also. See, the user will have a greater control over his data points, right? He,
Yeah.
as the end user, will behave in a very autonomous kind of a manner when dealing with his digital footprints, right? So I can decide, okay, this is the data which is currently there residing on my digital footprint. I will share with this particular one, I will not share with this particular. So that autonomy Web 3.0 enables by the virtue of it. Okay.
Okay.
And you can be very selective in sharing that information. Second is the security part, right? As I told, there are security tokens, right, which are responsible for your digital identity. So that are very secure tokens. No, like, as a layman, it is very safe in technology when it comes to the encryption method of these particular blockchain methods and the tools. Third is around the, I would say, interfaces, right? If, as a technology innovator, as a product guy, if I have to innovate something which is based on Web 3.0, I have to make sure that it is quite intuitive in nature. So again, user centric, going back to my previous point. So
Correct.
it has to be intuitive, it has to be user friendly. Any user at any point wants to register and use my services, he should be able to do it ASAP. Within, let's say, literally 5 to 10 minutes, he should be registered and start using my services. He should not feel, okay, this particular website is really slow, or this particular app is not behaving as per my understanding. So that intuitive nature has to be there. We have
Okay.
seen these technologies working in complete harmony. Like Siri also uses to a certain extent, but we have seen multiple technologies which can process the natural languages, right? The technology is called NLP, right, natural language processing. But we have seen a lot of technology evolving around these parameters, and they understand, okay, right now, let's say I'm talking to you in a very natural way, correct?
Correct.
So it will understand, transcribe, and give you results. So that is
Result.
how the world is shaping up, and that is where we are leading towards.
Correct. Correct.
So, and I would say it. The other important thing could be, and it is basically, is around the transparency framework. Okay, it is it is transparent because it is all in front of you. Nothing is being like doing in the backgrounds, right? So it is very transparent in nature, and that is why you have seen a lot of kind of it's again a paradigm shift in the industry happening. You might have seen um, it's like Apple introduced some time back with its iOS 14 version, the
Hmm.
82 framework, right? App tracking transparency framework. What it says is basically, it's in a very beautiful and simple manner, uh, that you have to have proper user consents before tracking your user activity across
Correct.
your app, right? So that is the core fundamental. Why? Because many a times we have seen, okay, even if I have not purchased, like looked for something, just searching, and I received starting calls, right? I
Yeah.
start receiving ads, seeing ads on Google and everywhere. So
Yes.
that is something which I purposefully did not consent it to do. So
Correct.
that is where Apple has already blocked. So this happened like last to last year, basically with Apple iOS 14, but and it hugely impacted, especially the Meta world, because they were a large user base for the Apple products. So the intent is basically a large number of their user set was impacted. So with this technology in place, it will be kind of a very transparent ecosystem we will be living in. So that is the expectation, base
And
expectation
again,
from the.
user centric.
Yes, user, again, going to user centric. It all revolves around the user centricity. It all revolves around how you are capturing the user data, and that is why you are actually seeing across industries, not just, let's say, the large ones or the medium ones. Across the industry, it is being seen that when we talk about going to the digital transformation conversations, right? It is more about the user and their specific needs. How I can use my first party data, right? Like right now, if I talk, like it was always a mix, like between first, second, and third party kind of data sets. Now everyone is talking about, okay, how do I increase my first party data set? Because ultimately, when in the next year, when Google also blocks the third party cookies and all, these things will be highly impacted. Believe me, it will be highly impacted, because
Absolutely.
you will be in a black box kind of a world where you don't know who to target, what to target, and all, because it's all gone. Third party cookies are all gone. So you have to rely on your first party data set, where the accuracy increases, right? As well as you are catering to the right user at the right time with the right needs. So that is how it is all interlinked.
Interesting. That's so interesting to hear.
Thank
And as you were also, as we are speaking about Web 3.0, and uh, we mentioned scalability. So each of these transformations, of course, will have a pilot case, and then it would be extended towards a lot of other institutes in a particular industry. One thing that we have to keep in mind is the regulatory hurdles also, because here we are again talking about the diversity in terms of geographical boundaries, different nations. Something that you mentioned, that cryptocurrency is of course banned in certain nations, but in certain nations they are more than happy to welcome this transformation. So according to you, what are those potential regulatory hurdles or challenges that could, again affect the ongoing Web 3.0 transformation?
Okay. See, if I talk about some of the potential challenges around regulatory things, first thing I would say is it's all centralized. Okay. And when we talk about Web 3.0, it is all decentralized, completely kind of opposite, right? It is
Correct.
governed by one single entity, and then you have different entities governing. So it is more about the uncertainty of the regulatory environment we have to deal with, and that is a potential hurdle. Because with the rapid pace how this new technology is evolving, coping up with this technology will always be a hurdle and challenge for the government or the governing authorities. First.
Correct.
Second, is around the data and privacy concerns. Their concerns are legitimate. Like if I talk to a government agency, their concerns will be very legitimate. It's more about I going as a consultant, educate them, okay, I am taking care of these concerns by these methods, right, on a technical level. Then they will be
Mhm.
more convinced and ready to hear more about these, right?
Correct.
So data privacy and security concerns will always be there, as and how we tackle that particular conversation on a wider scale will
Yeah.
all be dependent on these technologies. Third is, I would say, how like the existing systems um, merging with the decentralized system, like the interoperability, basically how we call. Okay, so legacy systems are all centralized. How we bring in our solution and well managed in harmony with these centralized systems, that will be another challenge, and it's a bigger question to evaluate first, right? Because when we talk about, again, going back to my experience and example, when I go into a client meeting with education around the digital transformation process, first thing I ask is, okay, what are your current data sources and what is the level of data you are currently ingesting on those, right? So, and the next thing is, what is your current data quality? So those things are the deciding factor of my next action, which will be the transformation stage and all such things. So
Okay.
those like those interlinking of systems, how we manage, right? That is again a challenge, and how we manage is one opportunity area basically. Then another important thing is like in these systems and technologies is your KYC part. Okay,
Hmm.
so
Yes,
knowing your customer, especially around the banking and the regulated industries, right? So
absolutely.
it can lead to a lot of bad practices also, like in terms of AML, like anti-money laundering and all such things as well, right?
Hmm.
So that is another challenge which the field, like the Web 3.0 field, is currently facing, and they are bringing up new and new innovations. As and we are speaking, like there is someone behind the scene who's working on this particular
Beyond
challenge.
this,
But
absolutely.
these are some of the high level challenges we are currently facing when we talk about Web 3.0 and the blockchain technology. And it's more about how we aim to deal with these technologies in the future,
Correct.
so that these impediments can be crossed and we are living in a user centric, much more safer kind of digital footprint safe kind of a world.
And as you correctly said, that yes, we have to educate the governments, and we have to make sure that all their legitimate concerns are taken care of. I
Yes.
think if
Yes.
that is done, then there should be no hurdle for them to accept this kind of a
Absolutely.
technology. Correct.
Absolutely. We have to take a kind of a multifaceted kind of a approach where, okay, this is your concern. These are the respective solutions which we can implement. Which one would you like us to go first? Like, so those we can create literally the sandboxes within their environment to actually show the value of the product, right? So those kinds of real-time practical examples have to happen when we are going to these legal authorities, basically.
Okay. So, lastly, Tarun, how can we ensure that Web 3.0 technologies are accessible to a wide range of users, including those who are who are staying in countries which are not so much technologically advanced, or such communities which are not very tech savvy?
See, if I talk about, let's say, the fundamental things, right? The fundamental things again goes back to at least improving the basic infrastructure of a particular area, or let's say a particular region of the country, right? The basic infrastructure would include basic internet facilities should be available. It's all web, right? So basic digital ecosystem has to lie if you want to run. Second, is around the proper education programs and training. What is upcoming, right?
Mhm.
What are the related benefits with this particular approach, along with some certain challenges also. We have to be transparent. Okay, if we
Yes.
just go and show them the rosy picture and do not show the darker side, it won't help anyone, believe me. It will fail very fast. Okay, so
Mhm.
when you're giving those pros and benefits to any individual, or let's say the authorities, in conjunction to that, you have to name certain drawbacks also, or let's say whatever concerns are actually there, and the next part should be how you're dealing with those concerns, right? So that they gain more confidence. Okay, I have a problem, they have certain solutions, they are building it up, right? So you have to be transparent. Third is uh, when we talk about, let's say, the local regions and all, right?
Yes.
So again, the lingual part, the language part will also play its role. So how you are catering to the local needs is another important area to take care about. You have to design the app in their local language, how they understand and their needs and all. So you have to understand the user better before designing anything. So that is another area. The next one I would say is, it has to be, when we talk about scalable solution, right, it has to be affordable as well, right? We did not touch upon this point,
It
but
is, yes.
um,
Very important, I
if
feel.
you want something to be scalable, it has to be affordable to the
Affordable.
entire mass, right? So
Absolutely.
a great example with Reliance, right? So they are making everything affordable in India,
Affordable,
right?
yes.
So that is something where the world is moving towards, and if we are looking for something scalable, it has to be affordable. It comes
Affordable.
hand in hand. Okay. The other important thing is, basically, you have to build local partnerships also, right? You cannot go solo and do this great thing, right? You have to engage, you have to build partnerships, and you have to trust those partners as well, right? So if you're selling your technology or something as a product, you have to engage locally, understand their needs, implement with their local partners, because their trust is obviously greater than, like, the local partners trust with the local people is always greater than
Always better.
you as an outsider coming in and showing something new, right? So
Correct.
that is another one. So the other important, and this is something also which I touched briefly, would be around the financial and the regulation industries inclusion, basically. So it's more about the decentralized ecosystem we are living, right? So the BFSI or the regulators have to come on a common ground with the innovators. Okay, you do these particular pilots. When this is successful, we'll speak again, right? So those kinds
Correct.
of harmony between the authorities has to be there. Okay.
Correct.
Then obviously, when you have the necessary government support and everything, these things, once successful, can be spread to the mass, right? So it's very easy. The last point I would still say is something like which I all started also, is around the open source technology. Correct. Why I'm saying open source is, basically, it is all has to be community driven. Okay.
Yes.
So unless and until you are taking the mass alongside with you, you won't be successful in this particular era, right? So it has to be community driven. It has to be something like always kind of a open source, where you, if you want something to be behaving as per your expectations, you just name it, or you just configure that, and it will start behaving as per your needs. That is like usage of NLP and all such things, but it starts behaving as per your expectation. So that kind of personalized kind of a feeling, that concierge kind of a feeling, has to be there in order to make these kind of technologies really successful across the masses.
Correct. So, from all I gather, it is actually a collective effort and a collective contribution, not only from the creators, but also from the government bodies, the regulatory bodies, the local level leaders, and of course each individual. You know,
Absolutely.
so when everybody comes together and accepts this new technology, that is where the transformation will be seamless. So it's
Yes.
not just one particular organization who's going to drive the force. We all have to contribute towards it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's all about, because this technology is not just for a particular entity. By virtue, it's like decentralized, and it has to be spread across the masses
It's for
for the
us.
scalable solutions which we are building. So it's all about bringing everyone to a common junction and then innovating it jointly. So that is what I feel.
Wonderful. Tarun, thank you so much for being here on this show with us today and for sharing all of these absolutely amazing insights. We've got comments even right now on LinkedIn and saying that they've got a lot to learn today from you. So,
Thank you.
thank you so much for all of this information and this wonderful discussion.
Thank you so much, Farida. It has been a pleasure. So thank you so much for inviting. Thank you.
So, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to uncover the transformative potential of Web 3.0. Stay connected for more groundbreaking conversations and insights that redefine the future of technology and innovation. Until next time, keep exploring, learning, and embracing the evolving digital landscape. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tarun.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.